The land of the Bible is not an especially fertile land. It is located on the edge of the desert, and from the north of the land to the south, there is a large drop in the amount of average annual rainfall.
Israel is situated just to the north of the largest desert belt on the planet Earth, which stretches all the way from the Atlantic coast of the Sahara Desert, Morocco, up to Senegal, and then going east through Libya, and then coming into Egypt, and then all the way through Saudi Arabia to Rajasthan in India and Pakistan. It's a huge desert. The land of Israel is just situated on the north of it. That means the southern part of Israel is inside this desert. The south of the Negev is extremely dry. You have only 1 inch of rainfall a year, 25 millimeters. But when you go to the north, you have a very sharp transition towards a much better climate, so that the central part and the northern part of the country enjoys a climate which can sustain rain-fed agriculture quite well. In the winter time, Israel gets under the influence of the so-called depression systems coming in with western winds. And they bring in the rains, particularly in the north, because the trajectories of these rainfall, these depression systems, usually go along Cyprus to Turkey. Only relatively few go more south. And then usually the trajectory is such that when you come in the southern part of Israel, in the Negev, then the air moves over land, over Egypt, rather than over the sea. And that's why still, when it's raining in the north and the center here, it's still dry. Only when the wind direction comes from the northwest, then the rains also penetrate into the Negev, and sometimes can go even to the south. But it is rare. That's why in Eilat, the rainfall is only 25 millimeters a year. It's one of the driest parts of the world. Whereas here, it's about 90 millimeters. And then when you go to Beersheba, it's 200, and near Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, it goes up to 600, 700 millimeters.
Moses climbed up Mount Nebo from the Jordan Valley, an ascent of about 1,200 meters. From there, God let him see the land where he would not be allowed to enter. Deuteronomy chapter 34 describes the event in these words. Moses went up from the plains of Moab to Mount Nebo, to the top of Mount Pisgah, east of Jericho. And there the Lord showed him the whole land, the territory of Gilead, as far north as the town of Dan, the entire territory of Naphtali, the territories of Ephraim and Manasseh, the territory of Judah, as far west as the Mediterranean Sea, the southern part of Judah, and the plain that reaches from Zoar to Jericho. Once on an exceptionally clear winter day, I stood near here, and I was able to see Mount Hermon in the far north of the country, a distance of about 150 kilometers. The Israelite town of Dan stood at the foot of Mount Hermon. What kind of landforms would Moses have seen? It is helpful to think of the topography as a series of strips running north and south. In the west, there is the coastal plain. It is flat and sandy and is broken up only rarely by small streams flowing from the eastern hills into the sea.
Moving eastward, the next strip is a line of foothills, a bit higher in elevation. Continuing to the east, we come to a ridge of higher hills, sometimes referred to as mountains by the biblical text. This ridge starts with Mount Gilboa in the north and continues to Hebron in the south. From there it descends somewhat into the dry Negev plateau towards Beersheba. On or near this ridge stood the ancient cities of Shechem, Bethel, Jerusalem, and Hebron. It provided an important route for north-south travel. In ancient times, the hills of this central ridge, as well as the valley of the Jordan River, were covered with forests.
To the east of the ridge, the elevation drops off sharply from an elevation of 800 to 1,000 meters down to the Dead Sea, which is the lowest spot on Earth at over 400 meters below sea level. The Dead Sea is fed by the Jordan River coming down from the north. The sources of the river are near the foot of the highest mountain in the land, Mount Hermon, which stands in an elevation of more than 2,800 meters. The river flows through a swampy area called the Hula Valley. Then it descends through steep gorges to the Canary Lake, also called the Sea of Galilee, which is already more than 200 meters below sea level after a journey of about 50 kilometers. Continuing east from the Jordan Valley, the topography again rises to a high plateau in the area of Transjordan. This plateau, which includes Mount Nebo, stands higher than the north-south ridge to the west of the valley.
Most of the maps we use today are printed with north at the top. This corresponds to our mental orientation, where north is up and south is down. We should not, however, take this orientation for granted. There are some cultures in the world today where some other direction is the forward, in front of you direction. For the people of Bible times, the direction of orientation was the direction where the sun rose, in the east. In Hebrew, there are two names for the east. One means the place where the sun rises, and the other means simply forward.